Hey guys, this is Eric Pekarsky with Infinite Prosperity Live Trader, and it is Friday, January 27, 2016. It's been a quiet week in the market. There wasn't much going on when it comes to setups, so I've only taken one trade on Tuesday for a quick 2% profit within one day. With that said, let's have a look at it. So the first trade of the week is AZICAT short advanced power move for 2% profit on Tuesday, January 24, 2017. With a beautiful daily head and shoulder pattern targeting the 4-hour 50 EMA. So this is one of my favorite setups, at least from the daily time frame this month so far. So let's dig into it, starting with the weekly chart. And when you look at this weekly time frame, you'll notice that the first thing that we have is horizontal resistance. It's these highs over here, prices hitting this area and then bouncing off when it comes close to it. That is actually support and resistance on the 4-hour chart, 1-hour chart, and the daily chart as well. So that is a really good level here on this weekly chart. Now, another thing that we have is 0.618 Fibonacci retracement. So it's a breakdown, retest, horizontal resistance, 0.618, and potentially a head and shoulder pattern with a left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Now, this head and shoulder pattern is definitely visible on the daily chart. And there's no questions about that there. But in this case, that's kind of what we have. Pretty simple and straightforward. Now, the rejection is good, the resistance is good, and I took the trade here right from the top on Tuesday this week. Now, the one thing that I didn't like about the weekly chart was that momentum to the upside. You can see here we had this massive bullish engulfing, another strong bullish candle, and there wasn't much deceleration. There's no high test, there's no doji, there's nothing like that. So I'm not really looking for a hyper trade short, but more like a daily pullback because of the beautiful daily chart and the strong resistance. So that's the weekly chart. Definitely a lot of potential there. Now the daily, when we zoom in, there's that head and shoulder pattern. It's nice and clear here. We have left shoulder rejected again over here, popped to the upside, fell, rejected that level again, fell more, and now came back to retest it one more time. So 1, 2, 3, 4 rejections here recently off of this really strong level. So that's that head and shoulder pattern that I was talking about. Now, when we zoom out, you'll notice again that this level is really good horizontal support and resistance, at least here recently. We got quite a few hits from the top, double bottom here. Then again, rejected as resistance, again as resistance. And that brings us to current time from here with all those rejections. So again, a strong horizontal support and resistance area that is. Now, when it comes to the rejection, what do we have? We have pretty much a tweezer top. We got this long-legged kind of bearish doji, and then this massive bearish engulfing high test here that closed on January 23rd. That is a beautiful rejection. So, we have this overextended daily run. The daily needs a pullback because it's been going up all the way since January 9th, and now we're looking at January 24th. So it's been going up for a while, it's overextended, needs a pullback, and it's hitting one of the strongest levels that we have, which is pretty much the extreme highs when we saw the weekly chart. That is the extreme highs. So that is an extremely good resistance level. Now, given that resistance, given the fact that the daily chart is overextended and needs a pullback, and given the fact that we have a beautiful tweezer top reversal, to me, the daily chart is perfect. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's literally one of the best charts I've seen in a while here. So I like it a lot, and it's extremely clean, and the setup is very obvious here. So when it comes to the target now, like I said on the weekly chart, there's that massive momentum to the upside. And again, this could be argued because this head and shoulder pattern here, which is the smaller head and shoulder pattern, the one that we're looking at now, that's the weekly head and shoulder pattern. But the daily head and shoulder pattern happened here. And when it happened, the initial break and retest, it fell. And then it popped to the upside. It broke resistance levels again. It broke the daily 50 EMA to the upside. It broke this zone to the upside. So it is rejecting this area, but again, this could only be a daily pullback. And now we're trading back into a support and resistance area. So when we zoom out, you'll notice that this level has provided a few good rejections here in the recent past. 1, 2, 3. Then when we zoom in closer here, those beautiful highs over here, the double top, then even closer, level was rejected from the bottom. and rejected from the top one more time. So this is kind of the area that I'm targeting. Like I said, the daily is beautiful, the setup is amazing, but I'm just looking for pullback play and not a massive hyper trade down to the bottoms. But you know what? I do think it could develop into that, especially when the weekly chart closes with a potential bearish inside bar or something like that. So that's my target. And in this region, we also have the 4-hour 50 EMA and a 4-hour ascending trend line. So that's just kind of an obvious target there. So that's the higher time frame. Daily is literally perfect. And because of that, when we dig into the intraday charts, I'm a little bit more lenient when it comes to price action and confirmation and all of that. I just need to make sure that the technicals and the momentum is in my favor. But whenever I get a perfect daily chart like that, with a perfect reversal setup and a beautiful resistance, I will be a little bit more lenient on the intraday charts. And this is kind of what I'm talking about, especially on the 1-hour chart. You can kind of see that we had the breakdown, but it was consolidating prior to the entry. And to me, that is fine because of everything else that is going on, especially on that daily chart. Now, when we look at the 4-hour chart, see that resistance level, the extreme highs, that's that daily level, that's that weekly level as well. And when we zoom out on this 4-hour chart, again, you'll notice that, this region is extremely good resistance. And here on the 4-hour chart, it takes us back to October of 2016, 1, 2, beautiful rejections, then break and retest, acted as support and pop to the upside. Another break and retest, acted as resistance and drop to the downside. And now, remember that daily chart was overextended? Well, the 4-hour chart is overextended as well. As it broke the 4-hour 50 EMA here at the beginning of January, it's been going up, and we still never had a retracement down to that 4-hour 50 EMA. And especially here when it popped on January 18th and 19th, now it's massively overextended. This is the perfect level for pullback on the 4-hour chart. And you can clearly see it's decelerating and rejecting that level. Had that beautiful rejection here on January 23rd with that bearish engulfing candlestick. Then price slowed down because, as you guys see, that's 1800 GMT. So that is the end of New York session and the beginning of Asia. So that's why I didn't really worry about the 1-hour consolidation, because that was the end of New York. That was the beginning of the Asian session. And that's where the volume is literally the lowest within a day. So, on the 4-hour chart, we have two little dojis. The 1-hour chart, we have a little bit of consolidation. But again, that's low volume. That's the end of the trading day. And therefore, the daily chart is much, much, much important in this case, in my opinion. Now, what I really like about the 4-hour chart is the rejection that we got and the room to go. So the 4-hour 50 EMA, the 4-hour ascending trend line, that's also that daily zone, and that's my target. So that's the 4-hour chart, pretty simple. Now on the 1-hour chart, we got bearish MACD. Again, you can see that level is being rejected here beautifully. And then the main thing that I like about the 1-hour chart is that it actually broke the 1-hour 50 here during the New York session. So during London, it popped up. And then during the New York session, it came crashing down and it broke the 1-hour 50 and it stayed below the 1-hour 50. That's the important thing. This pop and breakdown is actually what created the daily massive bearish engulfing hiatus reversal. Now, when it initially broke the 1-hour 50 EMA here at the beginning of the 23rd, you can kind of see that it broke and it stopped right away, gave us bullish reversals and popped to the upside. In this case, it broke it during the New York session and stayed below that level. And that to me is important because that tells me that there is more bearish pressure than there is bullish pressure. The 4-hour rejection is good. 1-hour breakdown is good. The consolidation could be better, but again, it was end of the New York session, beginning of Asia. That's when the volume is low. And the daily was perfect. So because the daily was so good, at this point, I just placed a pivot order when I was making my watch list. Place a pivot order a few pips below the pivot with a nice safe stop above R1, above 0.618, and above that main resistance level on those intraday charts. So 35 pip stop and targeting the 4-hour 50 EMA region here for 70 pips and 2%. Then the entry was triggered here at the beginning of the Asia session and then fell down. Pull back a little bit farther one more time during the London session, New York session, and then it dropped to finally hit that profit target. So there it is, guys. This is literally one of my favorite trades from January so far because of how beautiful that daily chart is. And again, this is as you catch short, advanced power move for 2% profit on Tuesday, January 24, 2017. And that is it, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this live trade or recap video, and I'll chat to you all next time. Take care.